You're going to need pattern blocks for this lesson. So what we're doing now is we've discussed the different properties of the pattern blocks, and we've discussed putting pattern blocks in patterns. Now what we're doing is we're playing puzzles with pattern blocks. So what you can do is there's many different ways to fill these three apples. So we have a full apple, we have an apple with a bite cut out of it, and we have an apple that was eaten all around the middle, just the core. So what we can do is we can use our blocks to fill in the apple using a variety of different ways. If you have actual pattern blocks, you can use those, or I put some that you could use and just print and then cut, and I put those also in the lesson scans. So here's one example. Now my blocks are like big, thick blocks, so they're a little bit bigger than the apple, but this is the shape of the apple, and so therefore it does fit the parameters. So now what I need to do is I need to basically graph what I'm seeing. So I see one hexagon, we have one parallelogram, we have one trapezoid or rhombus, and two triangles. Is that the only way to do this? No. There are probably a bunch of different ways for you to fill those. So then what I'd like you to do is to fill in this one as well using the different types of shapes. You do not have to use all of them. There might be some left over. Try different ways. Here is something that does not work. If I take some and it goes completely outside of the shape and does not make the shape at all. This does not fit. Even if I put them all next to each other, I'm like, oh, look, it's covered. No. What you have to imagine is as you're recreating this apple, you want to recreate this shape. So think about the shape that you're looking at, and you want to recreate that. So here's another way of recreating that apple. So you can see that I have recreated that shape on the outside. Now, if you want to extend your learning, what you could do is you could try to create something on the back using your shapes and tracing. So, for instance, I could take my block, and trace it, and then maybe I'll take this guy and trace him. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something, and then I'm going to pause my video, create something, and then I'll go over you the next step. So see you in a flash. Okay, so I've created a picture using my shapes, and I also created a key here to record how many shapes I used. So there is one hexagon. Let's count the trapezoids. 6 trapezoids. And let's count the triangles. There you go. Now, if I were in the classroom, I'd probably create clouds using my shapes, and maybe blades of grass, probably the sun, and I'd really deck it out and add more and try to use all my shapes. The diamond on the sun, probably use the parallelogram as the blades of grass, and maybe part of the clouds. So that's how you can expand your learning on the back. Hope you've enjoyed our exploration into pattern block puzzling.